It is 8 a.m. on a Monday morning here in New York City. I just got back from meditating on the East River. Today's show, episode 54 of The Edward Show. Thank you so much for listening on this lovely, lovely morning. Today's show is going to be a bit different. I'm going to talk about a near-death experience that I had yesterday and what that made me realize. And then I'm going to relate that to a content story about TikTok and a good friend of mine. Her name is Paige. And I think this is going to be a pretty interesting episode. Yesterday, I was coming home from getting tacos. This was actually before I recorded yesterday's podcast, but I think I was still in shock. So I biked from where I live into Sunset Park to get these tacos that were recommended to me by a guy that I met at the JP Morgan Chase private art collection. I talked about that experience on a previous pod. I got these tacos, and then I'm biking back. I'm biking back home. And some guy, he has a motorized bike, and I'm slowing down because I need to make a perpendicular turn. The guy's bike hits the back of my bike. He has a motorized bike because I guess I'm not going fast enough, so he hits my bike. I never do that. If someone's going too slow for me, I go around them. I never hit somebody's bike. This guy hits my bike. And the light to the left, I'm facing forward, but I need to go to the left. And I say, oh, let me get out of this guy's way. I guess I'm not going fast enough. And I turn into traffic, not realizing I had slowed down because the light was red. But when the guy hit me, I was surprised, and then I wanted to get out of his way. And I turn into traffic. And then to my left, I hear honking, and I turn my head, and I see a van barreling towards me, screaming, honking. And I pedal hard, and I pedal right, like I miss it just barely, and my heart is pumping and my adrenaline is pumping. I was listening to the Founders podcast. I had the Founders podcast playing, and I heard the van honking at me over the podcast. I turn off the podcast, and I'm breathing hard. Adrenaline is roaring. People are looking because it was so close, and the van just kept on honking. I see the guy who biked into me in the back. He biked away, and I basically biked the rest of the way home in silence, in shock, and I couldn't believe that I was alive. I was like, I literally was like pinching myself or like slapping my skin to feel pain and make sure that I was actually like here. It was so intense, and for the rest of the day yesterday, I've had this sense that I was suddenly going to wake up from a dream and be in a hospital bed. And that I was actually like, I just couldn't believe it because it was so close. I couldn't believe that I wasn't hit. And I felt this crazy sense of gratitude. And I don't know, this is how I would describe it. If you've ever been sick, if you've ever been like throwing up, this is what happens to me when I'm throwing up, when I'm sick. After I throw up, I feel great. I feel so good, so grateful, so happy because I've gotten the bad stuff out of my system. So lucky to be like feeling good. And that's kind of how I felt yesterday. There was no bad stuff in my system. I didn't vomit. But I can't believe that I have all my limbs. I can think, I can work, I can type, I can speak, I can walk, I can run, I can create businesses, I can love people, I can explore. And just this crazy sense of, wow, I'm so lucky to be alive and to have all of my faculties, and just this insane gratitude washed over me. And that's kind of what I wanted to share with this story, was that like, oh, if you're like listening to this and you can build like, and you have the mental faculties to build something that you want to build, you're so lucky to have that. We are so lucky, because I easily could have, and this could happen to anybody else, easily could get hit, limbs broken, hard to work, and I have all my limbs. I have all my fingers. I watched a TikTok last week of a guy. He cuts things up and puts it into his studio. He has an art studio here in New York City, and he's a filmmaker, and he accidentally sawed off one of his fingers. Brutal video, not like gory, but just very sad. The kid is in his early 20s, and then he went right back to work because he didn't want to be afraid of the buzzsaw that did it. And I watched that too, and I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be able to do what I'm doing. I'm so grateful to be able to record this podcast for anybody who's crazy enough to listen to me every day. Thank you to all those people. But I'm so grateful for you, and for the fact that I can actually record this, and that we have the ability to enjoy life and put out output. Oh my God. I would just be so sad if I wasn't able to make content, to produce. That's what I love. I'd be so sad if I wasn't able to produce. And I really I biked home slowly in silence yesterday, in shock. That's what it felt like. And the whole day I'm like, what happens when I go to sleep? Am I going to wake up from this dream and find out that I was actually hit? Like, it was just so close. So I felt really grateful. And now I want to talk about a friend. Her name is Paige. And Paige is really good at going on long rants, engaging rants. She is great at it. And I'm actually going to be able to relate this to the previous story. So Paige is really good at going on long rants. She's very photogenic. She has charisma. And she's not satisfied with how much money she's making. She also wants to have more influence. And on Friday, we had drinks at a place that we're both members of here in New York. And I told her, like, hey, you're really good at doing rants, and you can do long form rants. TikTok just increased its pay. It's revenue for creators per 1,000 views from like 2 to 4 cents to it was $1. Now it's 88 cents. So for every 1 million views that you get $888. For every 1,000 views that a video gets, and these are only for videos on TikTok that are over 1 minute. For every 1,000 views you get 88 cents if the video is over 1 minute. And I guess you probably can't use copyrighted music or anything like that. But in Paige's case, she doesn't need to. She can just go on these rants. And then I told her, I'm like, look, you can use, but like editing a rant, that's kind of annoying. But with Descript, which I've talked about on this show before, Descript is my favorite editing tool. Literally, you just put in, all she has to do is record a rant, put it into Descript, cut out the beginning where she's shoot it with a front facing camera, cut out the beginning where she's turning the phone towards herself, and start it from like an engaging part where she's speaking. Just pick the starting time, pick the ending time. And then what Descript gives you is the ability to take out the gaps between sentences or the spaces between words if you have a big pause. It's called shorten word gap, I think. That's what it's called in Descript. And I said to her, like, look, here's the setting that you use. You do anything that's over 0.75 seconds, just reduce that to 0 seconds. Remove that. And it'll be the stream of consciousness engaging rant, which you're already great at giving, and it'll be even better. And she goes, wow, this is such a good idea. I'm so excited to do this. I make her sign up and pay for Descript right there. I want her to like lose something if she doesn't do it, because she's saying, I'm going to do this. And I've heard this so many times from so many people, and they get worked up and they say, Edward, you've inspired me. I'm going to go and do this. And then they don't do it. And I really want to see her do it because I know her content is so good. I know good content, and this is good content. And so then she gets home and she actually sends me a rant, and she's like, well, I don't know if it's good enough. I don't know anymore. And without my peer pressure there, she's having all these doubts. And I take the video that she sends me, I put it in Descript, I send it back to her. She's like, I love this edit. It's so good. And it is a great rant. It's like 2.5 minutes. It's so good. And she can put it up, and all she has to do is one of these a day. You know how long that would take to do one of these rants a day? It would take 30 minutes. 30 minutes total to record the rant, and then to put it in Descript, to shorten the word gaps, to export it, and then to put it back into TikTok. She doesn't even need to put it on captions. She could. So, okay, put in captions. That's an extra couple of minutes to just edit, to just proofread the captions. She definitely shouldn't do music. So no music. And that's it. That's so easy. Oh my gosh. Because she has this natural talent of going on rants. I'm okay at giving rants, but I'm not her level at going on rants, because she also is able to rant about things that are like pop culture-y and stuff like that. And those videos get views. Those videos get views. They get views and views and views. And I think she could get 30 to 60 million views a month. So that's like $26,000 to $52,000 a month, basically. Yeah. It's about $26,000 to $52,000 a month for doing, let's say, let's be more conservative. Let's say 30 to 60 minutes of work a day. 30 to 60 minutes of work a day. And then she gets $26,000 to $52,000 a month for 30 to 60 minutes of work a day. And then she would also get influence. So that's just the revenue. That's just the ad revenue. She would also get brand deals. She'd also get brand deals and sponsorships. And we talked about this. She could also use it to start a long form podcast, which can be very lucrative. She can get that acquired. Like, there's so many other ways to monetize this off the base revenue, which would be pretty decent given the low work that she is putting in. And she has this unfair advantage of giving these engaging rants, and she is insecure that they are good enough. She's insecure that they're good enough. This is a fear that I've heard from many people, and I've tried explaining, like, look, you can put it up, and if it's not good, no one's going to see. You really got nothing to lose. If it's not good, nobody's going to see. And for some reason, there's this barrier in front of her keeping her from trying it. And it's not because she's too busy. I get that, because there's all these things that I want to do that I'm too busy to do. I don't have time. But I'm in the habit of, if there's something and I feel like it's a good idea and I really want to try it and I'm excited about it and I tell people that I'm excited about it, I'm going to do it. This daily podcast was started because I went on my friend's show. I went on my friend Gabriel's show, and I said to him, like, I think somebody could start a daily podcast using Twitter Spaces, because they can promote the Twitter Spaces and Twitter ads, and that would be really cool. And he's like, yeah, that would be really cool. And I got excited on the show talking about it. And then afterwards, after I recorded with him, I went and recorded my own just right away. I just went and did it. And he's like, wow, you move fast. I'm like, yeah. And then I did it. Now I have a daily show because I got excited about it. And I said I was going to do it. And I knew that if I waited, it wasn't going to happen. And she's been waiting for days. And I think it's probably not going to happen with her. And the other reason I bring this story up is because life is short. Life is short. I could have been hit by that van. I'm surprised that I'm not. I was so lucky. It was so close. If I had turned 2 seconds later, I wouldn't be recording this. I wouldn't be recording this right now. If I had turned if it had happened because I did not look. When I turned into that intersection, I was surprised by the bike behind me. I was not paying attention. You could say fault is on me. I got to get into better habits. But I was very surprised when the bike hit me, so I turned away. And if it was 2 seconds later, I wouldn't be here recording this. Life is short. If there's something that you want to do, if there's something you're curious about, and it's not like the type of thing that's going to be a huge time commitment where you just can't afford to do it, you don't have the time to do it, do it. Like, if it's your fear holding you back, you're like shy about like putting yourself out there or something. Oh my God, like you could turn into an intersection without that can happen to anybody. You can turn into an intersection or get into a car crash or something that is really like it is hard to blame you for it, and it is just a freak accident, and these freak accidents happen all the time. So like life is short. These freak accidents happen all the time. When there was oh man. And people make mistakes, and you got to expect that you'll make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, and you got to hope that the mistake that you make is not too big. And people make bad mistakes all the time. Here's another near-death experience that I had. This was years ago. I was living in Kyiv. I spent 2 years living in Kyiv, and I used to ride these scooters around Kyiv, these electric scooters around Kyiv. I loved riding these things. They were so fast and fun, and the air would breeze through your hair and face, and I would ride along the Dnieper River, the river that cuts through Kyiv, and they have this lovely waterfront there. It's such a good place for riding scooters really fast, and there's not very many people there, so you can just ride fast with nobody bothering you. And it was one time I was coming back from like a steak dinner across the river it's called the left bank of Kyiv, and I went to some steak dinner with my friend from here in New York. We went to this barbecue place, and I'm riding back on one of these scooters, and the light is out. But there's no scooters around, so I took the scooter anyway, even though it's dark and the light is out, and I could see well enough. And this is on me for being dumb, but I was riding really fast. The light is out. It's pretty dark, but it's not like too dark where I can't see. And I've ridden this route so many times that I feel like I know where everything is. And I'm riding, and it's great. I'm listening to music. I'm jamming out on the scooter like I always do. When I ride the scooters, I dance on the scooters. I play music that I love. I'm having so much fun. And then I get really, oh man. So the way that you cross the streets in Eastern Europe, a lot of the times, is with stairwells that go underneath the street. It's kind of hard to imagine if you're from the United States, because you walk above the streets most often in the US. But it's like, imagine like in New York City, you have a train station, and it goes underneath the street. And like you enter on one side of the street, and then you emerge from the other end of the street. You don't walk through the train station. It's just the stairs go down. You walk, I don't know, 20 feet, and then you walk up, and now you're above the street. And these are very common in Eastern Europe. And so there was a highway to my left. To my right was the river. And in front of me was one of these stairwells that you enter so that you could get across the highway. You don't take something above the highway. You take the stairwell, you go underneath. I forgot that was there. It was dark. I couldn't see it. I was going full speed. And if I had been looking at the river, because I had spent a lot of time just looking to my right, looking at the river. And if I hadn't been looking at that very moment in front of me, I would have gone over that stairwell at full speed. And again, I would not be here recording this. And I saw it just as I was approaching it. I braked hard, and I like my front wheel went over it, and I didn't go down. I got so lucky. And I remember I had the same feeling of relief wash over me at that moment, of gratitude wash over me at that moment. Life is short. There are so many good opportunities out there. And we have, like, our fear holds us back. What you want to do is you want to get in the habit of doing things. If you want to get in the habit of doing things that make you afraid, but afraid in a good way, not like I need to do this like super dangerous thing, but like it's things that where you have like a social fear. I think that's really what it is. You want to be in a habit of doing things where you have a social fear. We evolved to have these social fears protect us, but in a lot of cases, they hold us back. For my friend Paige, I think it's holding her back. I think she would be so crazy successful on TikTok doing these rants. I think she would just crush it. And she has a social fear, and it's holding her back, and she's not living the life that she wants to live as a result. And I'm over here. When I get excited about doing a daily podcast, I do it. And I'm alive. And I'm alive because I wasn't hit by that van. And because I didn't go over that stairwell in Kyiv. All right, I'm about to jump on a call with my co-founder for this project, Commit Club. We've been doing this one for years, and we've had some nice traction recently. And Commit Club is a tool where you commit to daily challenges. And now we put in a feature where you can commit to daily challenges with other people. So you enter in your Telegram handle or your WhatsApp number, and then we put you in a group with people who are doing similar challenges. And we're about to start those groups. It's really exciting. It's 8:30 a.m. here in New York City. Thank you so much for listening. If there's something you want to do and you have some social fear that is holding you back, you are alive. You are lucky. I am lucky. We are lucky to be experiencing this life, and I hope you will do it. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.